Call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome you to a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners. I do know that both a written and a visual record are being kept of the proceedings. Do we have? Yes, I know we have some awards and recognition. Commissioner Elfring?
Yes, we do. A couple of items. One is from the governor of the state of Washington, Jay Inslee, who presented Umatilla County with a 2019 Smart Communities Award, and that's in recognition of outstanding achievement, creating thriving communities, prosperous economies, sustainable infrastructure in Washington state, primarily with regard to the participation in the Blue Mountain Regional Trails plan that Bob Walter from our planning department was closely involved and still is closely involved as they build that out, and it's a trail system over in the Walla Walla area. We've supported it, and this is from the governor in recognition of that. The other is a plaque that was presented on the 11th of November to Umatilla County, the 2018-2000. I have a new one for this. It says from 2018 to 2109, and we haven't got to 2109 yet, but so we have a new one coming that's to slide into that, but it's 2018-2019 Helping Hands Award presented by the Oregon State University and the 4-H and Umatilla County Extension was presented at their banquet on the 11th of November. Very nice banquet in which so many really deserving young people were recognized and honored that night for their participation in 4-H and the work that they've done. And we're proud to be a sponsor and to participate with the extension in that effort. And this is a plaque that expresses their appreciation to us for that. And that's all that I have.
Commissioner Schaefer, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I do not. Well, it's a big plaque.
Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting, November 6, 2019.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any additions to the agenda, Council?
No.
All right. Is there anybody who wishes to address the commissioners on any topic other than that which is already on the agenda? Okay. We'll start through the business. In deference to our law enforcement officers, do you have specific items you want to address? I can modify the agenda.
I think it's number 10.
All right. Then we will take, you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting, but we'll take up item number 10.
Are you also doing number 9?
I think that was just pretty straightforward.
Okay.
We just want to afford you the opportunity if you don't want to get through the whole thing.
Alrighty. Terry Rowan, Sheriff's Office. Number 10, Captain Dave Williamson, who has been with the Sheriff's Office for 30 years now, same as me, has requested under the legislative laws that took place in this 19th session, where it will allow a PERS employee to retire officially through PERS and then return to work, working in their full capacity. Captain Williamson has made that request, and so it's before you for approval. I think it's Personnel Policy 4.7 that speaks to an annual review process, and so that's the direction that we would like to head in, is go ahead and move forward for approval to allow him to continue his appointment with the Sheriff's Office at his current capacity, and realizing that we'll have to come before the board again next year to seek that approval.
Questions of the sheriff?
I don't have a question. I'm just going to tell a story real quick on Captain Williamson. It was like my first day at the sheriff's office. I walked in, and he was a patrol sergeant at the time, and he was letting me into the building, and he leaned forward and popped the door, popped the lock, and I looked at him. I thought, wow, how'd you do that? And he straight faced it, told me it's the gold badge. Me being fresh hire, I was hook, line, sinker. I thought, wow, that's gold badge. That's pretty slick. And then I was issued my card to let you into the door, and I thought, wait a minute. He probably had that in his pocket. So yeah, he had me for quite a while on that one. So congratulations, Dave.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you. And then number 9, the payable, I think that's a revolving charge from our computer-aided dispatch system.
Is that the maintenance?
It's the REMS bill for Sunridge.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. As I say, you're welcome to
All righty.
stay through this scintillating agenda. Yeah. All right, item number 1, City of Hermiston SHIP project.
This is coming before the board for approval of its support for a planned City of Hermiston project. It's for they're making an application for federal funds for the South Hermiston Industrial Park project, which consists of updating utilities and road structure to that area. In participation for the funding, the city is requesting that the county be a participating partner, and this is to authorize the county to become a partner and also commit to a $50,000 contribution to the project in the event the funding does materialize.
This would improve their south industrial area.
Yes, it's basically the streets for Kelly Boulevard and the next one over.
Where much of their growth, industrial growth, is occurring out there.
This emanates from a special meeting I was sent over to meet with their city council, and some other people came, and this is an outgrowth of that in an effort to help spawn growth in that area. And I think probably the interesting thing about it is if you go over there and drive around in that area, it's amazing how much has already occurred.
Yeah.
A lot of new businesses in that area. So,
Move approval.
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Our CCP grant application.
We actually have J.R. Cook here, and I'd like him to come up and talk about that for a little bit, if you don't mind.
You guys know we're a collared shirt today.
Yes, you are looking extraordinarily nice.
Let the record reflect.
I could loan you my tie.
We do have videotape, so you.
I can loan you my tie, JR.
No, I'm good on the tie. Well, thanks, Commissioner Schaefer, Murdoch Elfring, J.R. Cook, for the record, Director of Northeast Oregon Water Association, P.O. Box 1026, Pendleton, Oregon. This is a project we have been working on, as you know, for quite some time. And I told Commissioner Schaefer that I'd come up and actually just express the Northeast Oregon Water Association's appreciation and support for the county taking the lead as filling a gap, what we've seen as a very significant gap in West Umatilla County and rural Umatilla County for that matter, where we do not have a very solid rural infrastructure provider in our county. And that's led to some economic development issues that we're all experiencing now with the the growing pains of West County. Water supply is a biggie. A water audit of the rural water supply without this project in West Umatilla County, there essentially is no more capacity left over there. And then the wastewater side, which is becoming increasingly critical to sustaining large rural industrial development in West Umatilla County. Our neighbors to the west have a very active port that provides that rural service. If you look at the regional rural effluent system that serves a lot of my membership in the South Butter Creek area with high nutrient organic water that also generates the economic development in the Port of Morrow. And then on top of that, if you drive west right now, you'll see a 72-inch water line being built from the Port of Morrow south. And that's actually a Port of Morrow funded project in conjunction with Columbia Improvement District. This project, the ordinance development, we call it the Ordinance Water Supply and Restoration Project now for the sake of the RCPP program. And for everybody's benefit, RCPP stands for Rural Conservation Partnership Program. I think I got that right. But it's something that we've been working on since the county agreed to acquire the pump station capacity from Amstead Farms. That sits on the Columbia River just west of the Umatilla River mouth. And what we found with NRCS's help was that, yes, this program, we have a very good shot at getting some grant money under this program. The problem we ran into was that the county isn't a historical water provider to irrigated agriculture. And under the program we're going through, which is called land management, the qualifying applicant has to be basically an irrigation district, for lack of a better term, somebody that is delivering water directly to ag. So the county worked, and Gail was at the meeting with Westland Irrigation District last week. Westland Irrigation District agreed to be the qualifying applicant in partnership with the county, which would enable the county to move forward with a grant application for approximately half of the capital cost of this project. What that's done, which is kind of there's two benefits to having Westland. One is we can start working right away on contracts for the county to be able to develop this project without impacting the general fund or the funds of the county, because you will have a customer to cover your debt service and hopefully O&M to get things going. And that will be obviously the next step with Westland. But the other benefit to this is that it includes now the whole entire project, whereas originally when we were working with the county, it was just the main line extending from the Columbia River to the depot to start doing recharge testing in the Ordnance Alluvial Aquifer. What this does is it brings in the Westland delivery component of the project, which bores under Interstate 82 and runs a pressurized water line along the A line, which allows Westland to basically conserve about 3,000 acre feet a year of Mackay Reservoir water, so they can be a lot more efficient with that supplemental supply in the summer. But the nice thing about that is it's a turnkey project that has a customer lined up right away, so you're actually delivering water rather than trying to find customers and testing recharge. So it has added expense to the project, but for the most part, it is a lot cheaper than what we originally had proposed that was manageable. When we originally had $4 million of state funding for this project in 2015, the debt service load on the $4 million grant was much greater at a smaller project than what we'll have left over for the match of this project, which makes it a lot easier to do a deal on water supply when the cost of water is a lot cheaper. So I just want to express on behalf of my membership, we feel like the county has become a very strong supporter of rural infrastructure, especially in West Umatilla County, to satisfy a need and a gap that has not been there for quite some time. And you have the full support of NOWA on these efforts that you're working on, because they are basically they're legacy projects for the region's growth, and they need to happen, and somebody needs to be a champion of the rural infrastructure, and we're appreciative that the county's taking a look at that. With that, I will say for this project, we've been able to work on getting support letters from the Oregon Business Council. The Northeast Oregon Water Association has a memorandum of understanding with the Oregon Environmental Council, which is one of the larger environmental groups in the state of Oregon. We'll be writing a joint letter with them in support of this project and this grant application, as well as our federal delegation. Requests are out to both our Senate district and House district that this will serve And then the Columbia Development Authority last year had already drafted a support letter for this project. So very, very well-rounded support from both the business community and the environmental groups. And I think hopefully if we get this application in December 3rd and Gail doesn't have a heart attack, we'll have a real shot at it. So with that, I'll answer any questions. But at this point, what we're basically having you draft is there's what's called a commitment letter that says if this project gets funded, the county will be the contributing partner to their share of the project. As you know, I'm working with you to see if we can find some other sources of funding to continue to get that debt service load down to you by the time the grant award's done. But for the most part, you're just agreeing that you'd be the contributing partner. Now is also going to be a contributing partner and helping with some of the limited license applications, et cetera, and we'll be including a contributing partner letter on the in-kind services for that as well. So I will be quiet. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll answer any questions you have. So. And thank you for the compliment on my clothes.
It's kind of a new experience, isn't it?
So this is the third one of the three to be completed, is that right?
Yeah, Commissioner Schaefer, this project, and the EO's not here, and we're going to meet with the editorial board because there's some confusion when you originally agreed to acquire this pump station capacity. We took a little bit of the membership was not very happy with the quote in there that says now is loss is the county's gain. The Northeast Oregon Water Association is your advocacy arm for the region. We're not an infrastructure owner, and we had developed and advocated for 3 regional projects to get water down into these critical groundwater areas to actually start to recover some aquifer levels that have been in serious decline for the last 70 years. This project was our flagship project to begin with, and the reason for that is it has a lot more than just a direct supply to ag component. The recharge of the alluvial aquifer and the ability to use that water as supplemental sources for a host of uses in that area, whether it be Westland Road, additional ag needs, or the depot, that recharge component is a biggie. And the beauty of the recharge is it's a winter diversion out of the Columbia River, which is what the environmental groups have wanted us to pursue for quite some time, is to use winter water and minimize our demand on the summertime supply. We got $11 million from the state in 2015, and that's generated almost $70 million in private equity and debt service contribution investments in the region. So there's a $24 million West project being built and funded by the Port of Morrow in partnership with CID. Their partnership's kind of similar to what you guys will set up with Westland. We'll probably be mimicking some of those documents.
And CID is?
Columbia Improvement District. And they deliver the water to most of the irrigated ground, what used to be the old Sabre Farm, which was then the Boardman Tree Farms, and then various interests. So that'll serve our Butter Creek, our westerly subareas of Butter Creek Critical Groundwater Area. Then we have our East project, which is turning out to be an absolute Goliath project. It's an 80-inch main line out of the Columbia River, and it's coming from the McNary Pool at the JSH pump station location. And that'll actually deliver water, if everybody knows where Rhodey's farm is in that area south of Interstate 84. That water will actually get to that. We'll be boring under Interstate 84 and running a water line that way and using an existing line there.
Did you say 80-inch?
80-inch out of the river. Yeah, you can drive a Mini Cooper through it. And we just got to get a Mini Cooper. It's another county appropriation request. So the project itself, that East project will serve all of the easterly subareas of Stage Gulch. So subarea H, which extends to Rue Elevator, is one of the main subareas that we're targeting for that. This central project is the third and final one that gets water to our central critical groundwater areas, everything south of the Echo area, which is pretty much south of Echo, east of Highway 207. And it'll do that through some work with Westland Irrigation District. But all 3 of those projects, once they're built, now as work will focus on the permanent mitigation program out of the main stem of the Columbia. And as you know, because you're the trustee of $1 million we got from the state legislature last year, now his work is now to begin building that basalt savings program and basalt bank to enable some of these farmers that now have access to Columbia River to finally get off of primary basalt groundwater so that the region can decide what we want to do with that saved groundwater. Do we want it to go to municipal development because it's potable? Do we want to save it for drought resilience? I mean, that's what then starts to create the fix that creates the opportunity for some future planning in the region, which honestly, until we got these projects funded, You can't set up a basalt bank without a replacement water supply, and that's why these projects have been the first priority, is to get the arteries into the critical groundwater areas to facilitate the savings. So.
Well, I don't have any more questions, but I want to thank you for all the work you've been doing on this on behalf of the county. I mean, you've really worked really hard, and I really appreciate it. And Gail, same to you. But I think you ought to meet Antonio. He's with the East Oregon. Yeah,
You were the one that quoted that, by the way. So I got to be.
We're going to let him be anonymous.
I thought he was running for county commissioner for a second.
Might be.
Well,
Other questions of JR? Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, JR.
Thank you.
Item number 3, election results.
Election payable.
This is coming before the board for its standard certification for the election. This is the November 5th election. The county had a number of ballot measures, and they all passed, so the election results are before the board for approval and requests for certification. And specifically, these are for the 2 ballot measures that were for the charter amendments and then the Milton Free Water Valley Ambulance District formation.
Mr. Chair, move approval.
Second.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, election payable, maintenance.
This is coming before the board because of the dollar amount. This is a standard payable. It's budgeted, and it is for the maintenance for the scanner for reading ballots.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we'll go out of regular meeting into a hearing for presentation of the charter amendments.
Okay, this is
Council?
part of the election results. Both of the proposed amendments to the charter, one for the method for the election of commissioners and the other for the naming of the sheriff's office, both passed. And so the matter is before the board for final formalization of the amendments to the charter. They're both in the form of ordinances that would require a public hearing.
All right. Is that the extent of your presentation?
Yes, unless you have any questions.
Questions of council?
None.
These would become effective with the May primary on the election.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it'll be effective before then, but it won't really impact anything.
That'll be the
until-
first impact, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, any questions or comment from the audience? Pro or con? All right. I guess this does affect the sheriff, doesn't it? Now that I think about it.
Sheriff's office now.
Sheriff's office, yes, now. Okay. We'll go into deliberation.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think the people have spoken in favor of these two changes to our charter, and I would move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. The Milton Free Water Valley Ambulance District.
This is coming before the board for the finalization for the Milton Free Water Valley Ambulance District. The board initiated this formation of this district to replace the current Milton Free Water Ambulance Area Health District to accommodate an increase in the permanent rate. Both of the ballot measures, one to create the formation of the district and the new permanent rate, and then to dissolve the current district, both passed, and so it's before the board for adoption of the order officially forming the district, the new district.
Mr. Chair, move adoption of BCC 2019-068.
Just a question. This takes care of the two issues, the formation of the dissolution the formation, and the tax rate, all three things?
Actually, not the dissolution. The dissolution was initiated by the current district board, and so they will have to certify those results.
I see.
But this one will form the new one. It did pass by the voters, so it has been dissolved, but you do not have to do anything to formalize the dissolution.
We don't need to do anything?
No.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move approval.
I think we've already got a motion.
Yes, I'll offer my second then.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Chiller replacement contract.
Mr. Chair, could you take item 12? I apparently just got tested. I have somebody that intends on visiting with me across this hall. I'm just getting around to number 12.
All right.
12?
Yes, we can.
At least across the hall.
If he's here, he's not spending money. Let's go ahead, Paul.
Well, I don't know if that's taking the lead on that.
No.
Just to adjust, Paul Chalmers, Director of Assessment and Taxation, this request from Vidal on the SIP agreement to modify and exclude for the starting in 2020 build-outs of buildings that support the data centers of 20,000 square feet and less. The agreement that is currently in place would, if these are considered data centers, would modify or trigger additional requirements in the SIP agreement, and they're trying to exclude that from this because they're not full-blown data centers. They're support buildings for the data centers. And so the intent would be put this fully on the tax roll and would not be inclusive of the SIP agreement for a payment structure environment. So there's no negative impact for the taxing districts where these buildings would be placed. They're going to see it on their tax base as an increase, but these buildings are excluded from the SIP agreement.
So instead of being under the SIP agreement, these come outside the SIP agreement, go immediately on the tax rolls, begin paying taxes.
Correct, after completion, when they become operational.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. All right, we're back to the chiller.
Perfect timing with the temperature.
Oh, yeah, we definitely need the chiller. Mark Tanner, Facilities Manager, Umatilla County. This is to replace our failing chiller in the courthouse. My initial estimates were around $100,000 for the chiller. Once we had contractors on site and they started evaluating everything, they determined that we needed to replace the piping between the roof and the basement. So the additional cost has been adjusted onto the bids that they obviously sent in. Also replacing there's two pumps in the basement that circulate the water back and forth between the roof and the basement, and one of those has failed since this process started, so we're running on one. So this bid would also include both of those.
This is the total amount of the cost?
That's the total amount, yeah.
It includes the piping and all the things that you said were additional?
Piping, permits, inspections.
And what's the warranty on this?
10 years on the chiller and labor, but the average expectancy should be about 25 to 30
years of use?
Yeah.
And this, the proposal is from the contractor that installed both of the new boilers.
I see it says it excludes any abatement of asbestos.
We've already done the bulk of the that I had done a few weeks ago, so.
And we have to haul away all the old parts and pieces?
No, they'll do all that. The abatement was for asbestos, so.
It does say excludes the abatement, electrical demo of the old unit.
Yeah, they're actually including it.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Perfect, thanks.
thank you. All right, weed control, number 8.
This is payable coming before the board. This is part of the weed department control for garlic mustard. Part of the grant that was received from the state for this, the work is actually done by the CTUIR, and that work is before the board for approval for payment.
Mr. Chair, move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Sorry, Doug, didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I just, but it was before the board because of the dollar amount.
Okay, item number 11, personnel policy update bilingual.
This policy was adopted by the board a couple of months ago, and since then, through the implementation process, there were some minor word changes that need to be made, so those updates are before the board for approval.
Mr. Chair, move approval.
I went over this with Jennifer in HR at some length, and council, and I think
Primarily editorial in nature.
It's basically had to do with what is actually considered a passing score on the tests that are done.
Bilingual
And-
test.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We've been moving back and forth through different elements of the agenda, but I think we have completed it.
I think we have.
Yes.
We have.
You're gonna give us a minute to say something.
Oh, of course I am.
Okay. It wouldn't be the first time you cut me off.
No, nor the last.
Well, I just want to congratulate our colleague, and I'm sure Commissioner Elfing would join me in the congratulatory.
I'm there with it.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Commissioner Murdoch has been selected by his peers at the Association of Oregon County to be its next second vice president of AOC, which is Association of Oregon Counties. And that will culminate with him rising through the ranks and ultimately becoming the president of AOC. So it's a huge honor that his colleagues from around the state bestowed upon him, and I'm very want to pass on my congratulations.
Thank you. I should have welcomed your comments more enthusiastic.
Yes, you should have.
Anything else you want to say?
That's it.
Just add to that, it was not by default, it was a hotly contested election. And so it was great to see it come through that way. Great to see Commissioner Schaefer receive his graduation certificate from County
Graduated.
College.
Yeah.
That represents quite a bit of effort, at least a once monthly meeting in the valley, and
Yeah.
so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Good,
It was nearly perfect attendance.
Yeah, I missed my perfect attendance because I was testifying at the Capitol.
And ironically, the class, he didn't get his perfect attendance because he was testifying at the Capitol. Ironically, the class spent that particular period of time watching him testify on video. So we protested unsuccessfully.
Yeah, I got the fuzzy into that one.
I think
like
they
that.
certainly knew that Umatilla County was present at the conference. So. Commissioner Elfring?
I have nothing further to add.
All right, and with that case, we're adjourned.